Have a great day, everyone. Welcome once again to Academia Gonzaga, your online learning system. This is AcaGon, and this is your course instructor, Sir Noy Gonzaga. Happy to be with you for another interesting topic. At this moment, we will be talking about biological survival of humans. So please give me 15 seconds to put up our PowerPoint. Have a great day, everyone. Here we go. This is Introduction to Biological Survival. So at this moment, we will be talking about birthing survival or the oxygenation process. Before that, we will first go to our Bible inspiration found in Genesis 2 verse 7, and it says, God formed man from the dust of the earth and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living person. So everything that we will be studying now is useless if God in the first place did not create man and breathe into his nostrils. That is the first signal or sign of life. Our duty now is how to protect or how to let life continue by means of survival. So let us first go into the definition of terminology. What is hematology? Hematology is the specific medical science that studies the functions, components, groups, and types of blood composition. So why did we come up with the word hematology? Well, here it is. Hematology came from the Latin word hemi, meaning blood, and logos, meaning science. In short, hematology is the science of blood or the study of blood. So everything that you will hear that has a prefix hemi, it has something to do with blood. So hematology, there's him there. That is also a study of blood. Okay. So later on as we progress, we will be seeing words with a lot of prefixes with the word heme. Okay. So now, in as much as we'll be studying blood, let us first know what composes the human blood. Do you know what composes human blood? Do you think blood is all red? Well, this lesson will let you understand that only the coloring of blood is red, but not everything in blood is red. So brace up for this subtopic in our lesson. Now, the first composition of your blood is plasma. Okay? Plasma is a straw color. When you say straw, it is light yellowish. Okay? It appears like this and like this, if you can see that on your screen. So it is a light yellowish fluid in which blood cells are suspended. So what is the composition of plasma? Okay? 90% water, 9% elements. When you say elements, these are your sodium, potassium, and other proteins in the blood. And 1% dead RBCs or dead red blood. Okay? Second, you will have the corpuscles. Okay. When you say corpuscles, this is the solid part of the blood, usually in dark red to maroon appearance when settling, and it is composed of three things: erythrocytes or the red blood cells, leukocytes or the white blood cells, and thrombocytes or the platelets. Okay? So if you will ask earlier, the plasma has also RBCs or red blood cells. The corpuscles has also red blood cells or the erythrocytes. Now, you have to take note that in the plasma, these are already dead RBCs or dead red blood cells, while in the corpuscles, okay, or in the red part of the blood, it is still alive. Okay, so we have now the yellowish part of the blood. This is the plasma, and this is the corpuscles. Okay. Now let us continue. Let us now have the different terminology. If you notice, these are the contents of the red blood cells already. Okay? The contents of the corpuscles. Now, one of the contents there is red blood cells. The common shortcut is RBC. So when you hear about RBC, it's always the red blood cells. The main function of the RBC is to carry oxygen to the whole body. So if you look at it, the shape of the RBC is just like a what? What do you call that? A basin, or in our dialect, daw salbabida. Okay? Why? Because on top of that, it carries oxygen. Now, let us first examine some facts in our RBCs. Okay. Red blood cells contain a protein called hemoglobin. This combines with oxygen to form oxyhemoglobin. That's why you will hear sometimes people going to the hospital, ay, anemic siya. Lubo ang iya hemoglobin. Meaning, the blood hemoglobin in the RBC is very low. Okay? So what is hemoglobin then? It is a very important protein in the red blood cells. Each red blood cell has a lifespan of approximately 120 days, okay, before it gets broken by the spleen. So you can imagine there are no lifetime red blood cells. In fact, there are no lifetime blood in your body. Your blood dies in the proper time, and the specific blood component RBC, or the red blood cells, okay, die in 120 days or less. Okay? And what is the organ that eliminates the prolonged RBCs? It is the spleen. Now, new cells are manufactured in the bone marrow of most bones. There are approximately 4.5 to 5 million red cells per microliters of blood. Now, if it is the spleen that is eliminating very old red blood cells already, it is your bones that manufactures new blood. Maybe this is new to you because you think the bones are only created for you to be strong or to be solid, but inside your bones, that is where the greatest part of blood production happens. Okay, the largest bone of your body, the femur, that is the largest producers of blood in your body. So when you have very low RBCs inside your blood, or very low red blood cell, the term for that is erythrocytopenia. Now, erythro is a prefix meaning red, and penia is a suffix meaning, okay, low. Cyto means cell. So this is what? Very low blood RBC, meaning red blood cell. Okay, red blood cell inside the cell are low. Erythrocytopenia. Very high blood circulation of RBC or red blood cell is called erythrocytosis. Okay, meaning ptosis means very high. So red blood cells in the cell are very high. Erythrocytosis. So opposites, these two are opposites. Erythrocytopenia is low. Erythrocytosis is high. Okay? Let us continue. Now, we will have another corpuscles component, and this time we will talk about the platelets. The shortcut is PL. The main function of platelet is for clotting and prevention of bleeding. So if your platelet is very low in your body, it is understood that you will bleed from all parts of your body that has exits. It can be from the nose, the ears, the eyes, even in the fingertips, you will have bleeding. So to prevent that from happening, the platelets are placed in our blood so that it will not let the blood go out of the systematic flow. Now let us first look at the facts about platelets. Platelets are disc-shaped, this one. This is the shape of, I'm sorry. Let me go back. Where is your platelet? Okay, I think this is the platelet. Okay, disc-shaped. So these are disc-shaped cell fragments. See, it looks like a fragment, okay, which are involved in clotting the blood to prevent excess loss of body fluid. So this is your platelet. This is your red blood cell. This is your white blood cell. Okay. Now in your body, very low platelet inside the blood is called thrombocytopenia. Thrombo is an affix meaning platelet. And again, cyto is cell, penia is low. So thrombocytopenia, low platelet inside the blood circulation. When you have very high blood platelet in the blood circulation, the opposite of thrombocytopenia is again thrombocytosis. So thrombocytopenia and thrombocytosis are opposites. Cytopenia is low, thrombocytosis is high platelet inside the blood circulation. Next, we will have another component of the corpuscles, which are the white blood cells. The official shortcut of white blood cells will be WBC. The main function of white blood cells is to fight disease and infection in your body. Of course, white blood cells is very known for immunity. Okay, so this is a very classic example of a white blood cell or WBC. Now let us look at the facts. There are a number of types of white blood cells, although the functions of all of them is to help disease and infection, meaning there are many kinds of them. They have different functions, but the general function is always to fight infection. Now, typically, a lifespan of a 5 and 10 days, and there are only 5 to 10,000 WBCs per microliters of blood. Let me make this clear. I think I have an error here. Okay, the lifespan is 5 to 10 days. That's 5.10. 5 to 10 days, and there are only 5 to 10,000 WBCs per microliter of blood. Imagine every 10 days or less, your WBCs die, and they will be replaced again by by the formation that comes from your bone marrow. Okay. Now, there are 5 kinds of WBCs in the circulation with one purpose, but with different specific functions. We will discuss that later. For the time being, let us first go to, the disease, the abnormalities. When you have very low WBC in blood circulation, the term is leukocytopenia, meaning leuko means white blood cells, cyto means cell, penia is low. So leukocytopenia, very low WBC in blood circulation. When you have very high WBC in blood circulation, you call that leukocytosis. Leuko is white blood cells, cyto is cell, tosis means very high. So very high WBC in blood circulation. Okay, I hope that is clear. Now here are the different kinds of WBCs. You can see there's 6, but actually if you read them one by one, there are only 5. The neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, monocytes, and the lymphocytes. Okay, these 2 can be taken as 1 because it's only a difference of segregation. So you have there the neutrophils. It looks like that, this one. Okay, the lifespan is only 7 hours. And the function is immune defenses. You have there the eosinophils. The lifespan is 8 to 12 days. The function is defense against parasites. Okay, basophils look like this. Then you have the that is the eosinophils. Anyway, I stand corrected. Third, you have the basophils. Okay, the lifespan is from 1 day to few days. It is not really very much defined by science, but it lives for a few days, maybe not more than 5 days. The function is, it is an inflammatory response, and it looks like this. Number 4, you have monocytes. The lifespan is 3 days. The function is immune surveillance, meaning it observes and it provides information for the whole WBC what to do because they are the first responders in the area. So a monocyte looks like this. Then you have the B lymphocytes. These are also called the memory cells or may live for years, meaning they record everything that happened to your body. That is the main reason why when you have chickenpox, you seldom have chickenpox again. Okay? When you have hepatitis, you seldom have hepatitis again because of the memory cells. They remember you have that already before. So when it comes in, they can already solve that one. Okay? The purpose is antibody production, and it looks like this. Very similar T lymphocytes. There are also memory cells. Okay? But the response, but their function is cellular immune response. This one is production. This one is response. And it looks like this. Okay. So you have now the 5 basic types of WBCs. What are they again? Neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, monocytes, lymphocytes. And the lymphocytes can be segregated into 2. You have the B lymphocytes and the T lymphocytes. These are the types of WBCs. Now, let us go to another subtopic. It is very common that you will always hear from laboratories before you can donate blood or when you get sick. Okay, the doctor asks, what is your blood type? So let us now study what is blood typing. Now, one of the ways to consider or to segregate human blood is the ABO blood group system. Okay, so you have the blood group A, B, AB, and O. I will not elaborate so much by this time. How are they with the presence of their antibodies and their antigen? Because this will already be tackled in advanced medical science. What I want you to know is there are four types of blood in the ABO blood group, okay, that can signify one of the human being's blood classification. It can be type A, type B, type AB, or type O. Now, blood type O is called the universal donor. That means you can give O to any other type. If there is no specific type of blood available, O can be given to all the other types. Blood type A is also called the universal receiver. Now, example, I stand corrected by this. This is wrong. Okay? Again, this is wrong. It's not blood type A, which is called the universal receiver, but blood type AB. Please correct this one. Blood type AB is also called the universal receiver, meaning you can put all the group types, okay? You can put all the types of blood into a person who has an AB blood if there is no available AB. All other blood groups can be put into that. The difference between blood type O and blood type A is O can be given to anyone, while AB can receive from anyone. So that is the difference between a universal donor and a universal receiver. Okay. So antigens and antibody, we will not be tackling that for now because you will just be misled by that. We will not do deeper medical science into that. I only want you to know that there are 4 blood groups. And these are type A, type B, type AB, and type O. Now, what are the general functions of the human blood? Why did God put blood into our system? What is the general function of the human blood? Okay. The first function of the human blood is for transportation. Okay. Transportation. Blood is the primary means of transport in the body that is responsible for transporting important nutrients and minerals to and from the cells and molecules that make up your body. Meaning, dear learners, from the mouth to the brain to the feet and to other parts of the system, the only way for them to be reached by the nutrients that you are trying to put inside your body is through the blood, because it's only blood that is the connecting fluid of all parts of the body. This is what we mean by transportation. It is the duty of blood to first take the oxygen processed by the lungs to all the cells of the body and then to collect the carbon dioxide from the cells and deliver it to the lungs. Meaning, okay, everything that we want for our body is taken by the blood, and everything that we don't want for our body is placed on the blood so that it will be brought to the organs that will destroy it. In the case of air, dirty air is being brought back to the heart and to the lungs so that it can be disposed and it can be changed with air that is already healthy and oxygenated. So the first function of the blood is, of blood in our body, I mean, is transportation. Second function of blood, protection. Okay? Give me 30 seconds. Okay. Now we are ready to continue. Blood performs the important task of protecting the body from the threat of infections and disease-causing bacteria. So it is also in the blood wherein the defenses of our body is being placed. The white blood cells found in the blood are responsible for safeguarding the different organs of the body by producing antibodies and proteins which are capable of fighting off and killing the germs and viruses that causes serious damage to the body. The platelet present in blood handle the task of limiting blood loss in the wake of an injury by helping blood to clot quickly. Now let us take this simply. White blood cells protect us from enemies that enter our body. That is why the white blood cells are called the soldiers of our body. Whereas platelet, when we have wounds, it's the platelet that builds right away the skin back or some of its pasting back so that blood will not come out of the body and we will not lose blood and become weak because of the injury. These are two ways how blood becomes a protection to our body. The third function of blood is regulation. Okay? Blood regulates the body temperature. Blood regulates the acidity of the body. Blood balances the presence of water and salt in the body. Blood regulates blood pressure of the body. Now let me put it this way. Without the presence of blood, man becomes cold. When man is cold, that means there is no circulation. When there is no circulation, man's system will not receive food, will not receive oxygen, and there is a possibility of weakness and death. So because of blood, when blood reaches any parts of the body, the tendency is it becomes warm, it circulates, it dilates, and it becomes healthy. That is where we put the arrow regulation, because blood will always be the determiner if man's part of the body will be alive or will be dead. So reviewing the general functions of human blood, you have transportation, protection, regulation. Three great functions of the blood. Now, I want to share with you some facts that you need to know, because these are facts that once you think we're not right, but they are actually right, or we're not wrong, but they're actually wrong. So let us see them one by one. Do you know that phlegm is a good sign that our respiratory system is healthy and functional? Some of us are very angry when we have phlegm in our throat. We think we are unhealthy. We are the muck. We are not hygienists. But you know what, dear learners? God placed the phlegm in your throat so that everything that comes into your mouth and into your nose that should not be directed to the lungs will be absorbed by the secretions here, okay? You call that mucus, that when it becomes thick, because all the germs are already there and it is already very sticky and thick, you have to put that out or swallow that to the reproductive system so that it will be digested by the acids and you will defecate that one. Again, the phlegm is there to protect the lungs, because when there is no phlegm, all the germs will go directly to the lungs and your lungs will surely be sick and you will die. So phlegm is a good sign that your respiratory system is healthy and functional. Don't be angry with phlegm. Second, stroke is not the explosion of a blood vessel, but the absence of blood flow in the blood vessel in any part of the body. Now, we have this kind of perception that, uy, Mang Juan died of stroke, or the person there just fall down because of stroke. Then because of that news, we think that stroke is an explosion, explosion of an organ or explosion of a blood vessel. That is wrong. Stroke is actually happening when there is no blood circulation in an area of the body. So stroke happens when a part of the body is not rich by blood or was dehydrated with blood. That is stroke. Okay, lastly, for our nice to knows. Heart attack means that some parts of the heart are not functioning or not being able to accept blood. Okay? That means when some parts of the heart may be paralyzed, blocked, hold, or shall we say become erratic, that is generally called a heart attack. A heart attack is basically an indication that there are some parts of the heart that is acting abnormally, making it unable to produce, store, or circulate blood. That is generally what we mean by heart attack. So if somebody falls on the floor and then holding to the heart, and then it was confirmed that it was heart attack, most likely some majority or maybe the whole heart, okay, ceased to function or did not function or has an abnormality. That is it. Okay, let us have first a 5 minutes break so that you can have your comfort room breaks, or shall we say snack break, and we will continue later on with the other half of our discussion. Okay, I guess you are now back from your break, and we will now continue with our online discussion. First, give me 15 seconds to put up the screen again. Here we go. Now, we have already defined, okay, hematology, and that is with the blood. At this juncture, we will be talking now about the lungs, and we'll be talking about the process called respiration. Respiratory system is the system of the body that caters to the flow of air from the outside, okay, which is the environment, to the inner human system or to our lungs, and internally, lungs to the blood of which it circulates in the body. Now you have to understand that when air enters the nose, it does not become usable right away. The lung still has to convert that into something that can be used by our body. And by then, the lungs will forward that to the heart, and the heart will let this liquid be circulated throughout the whole body. Respiration is the ability of the human system to generate inhalation and exhalation of air system until it exits from the human body. So in respiration, we will just be talking about the breathing in and breathing out of air, or in technical term, we call that exhalation and inhalation. Basically, that is all that is being studied in respiratory system. Inhale, exhale. Now, let us see the organs of respiration. Okay? Respiration, the organs of respiration, the respiratory system is actually segregated into the upper respiratory organs and the lower respiratory organs. So division 1, we will have first the upper respiratory tract organs. Okay? First there, okay, you have, okay, remember, the respiratory upper tract is composed of the nose, the pharynx, the larynx, the organ of the upper respiratory tract are located outside the chest cavity. So let's talk about the nose. This is your nose, the external appearance of the respiratory system. The nose is the external structure of the respiratory system found outside the human body during inhalation and exhalation. So this is from the outside of the body. Inside the nose, you will have hairs that are helping you protect from pollen to enter your lungs. Next part, there is the nasal cavity. So this is your nasal cavity. Inside the nose, this is the sticky mucous membrane lining that traps dust particles, and tiny hairs called cilia assist in sneezing mechanism. So you have already the mucus, the wet area. You still have the hairs. So the nasal cavity is really protecting your lungs from bigger particles that can enter the lung area. Next, you will have the sinuses. Okay. So this is your frontal sinus. Okay. These are your ethmoidal sinus. And these are your sphenoidal sinus. And you have your maxillary sinus. Now, there is this term before we say, may sinus ka. And you say, wala I'm healthy. Eventually, that is wrong because sinus or sinuses are parts of your body. If you have no sinuses, then you're a normal human being. However, if you have defective sinus or you have sinusitis or infection, inflammatory of the sinus, then that is the abnormality that you should not have. But sinuses, it's normal for human beings to have sinuses. These are air-filled spaces alongside the nose that help make the skull lighter. This also humidifies air when it enters the nose. You know what? Another function of your sinus is for you to hear your own voice. When you say something, the sinuses traps the voice and you can hear it in your ears and your brain. Without the sinuses, you cannot even hear your own voice. Another function of the sinuses are actually, these are spaces. Because when the brain are so much filled, liquids go to that area so that brain will not be compressed. So these are areas of extension, helping the brain not to be compressed when there is actually inflammation process. Next, you have the larynx or the voice box. This looks like this. This is essential for the production of voice due to the presence of the vibration of air in the area resulting to sounds. The larynx is also called the voice box. Therefore, larynx is actually responsible for the production of the human voice, and voice are produced because of vibration. Okay. Then you have your pharynx. Where is that? This one. These are your pharynx. Pharynx, okay, both food and air pass through the pharynx before reaching their appropriate destinations. Pharynx has a door called epiglottis. We will understand later on. Excuse me. Okay, we will understand later on why pharynx or the door of the pharynx is very important. The door is called the epiglottis. This is your epiglottis. Okay? It's a switch actually. It turns on and off. Epiglottis is actually the door that permits food or air to enter either the lungs or the stomach. So when the epiglottis closes the stomach, air enters the lungs. When the epiglottis closes the lungs, the food enters the stomach. So when this thing malfunction or fail, it may cause human death. Why? Because when man has food and the epiglottis close the wrong door and this food enters the lungs will be aspirated, okay? And it will be infected and the person cannot breathe and the person will die. On the other hand, if air enters the system, you have a term in medical science called air embolism. There is a certain amount of air that when it enters your blood or your system, it will be fatal and it can cause death. So therefore, the epiglottis, even how small, should always function in the right manner. Okay, again, the epiglottis, even how small, should always function in the right manner. If you have food on your mouth, it should close the lungs so that food can enter the stomach. If you have air in your nose, it should close the stomach so that air will enter the lungs. Again, a minimal malfunction can have a very great effect on the health of the human being. So, these are the upper respiratory tract parts. You have the sinus, nasal cavity, nostril, epiglottis, larynx, and pharynx. These are the composition of the upper respiratory tract. Okay, Let us proceed into the lower respiratory tract organs. What are these? Okay. Wait for a while. Okay, let us continue. The lower respiratory tract organs are composed of the trachea, the lungs, all the segments of the bronchial tree, the alveoli, okay, and okay, all the branches located therein. That composes the lower tract. So let us take the parts one by one. First, the trachea. The trachea is located just below the larynx, okay? So this is the larynx, this is your trachea, okay? Now, the trachea is the main airway to the lungs. It is spiral and it's used to push air lower and faster. You notice it is like rubberized, no? And it is segmented because it pumps the air from the nose to the lungs. It is pressurized so that air can enter the lungs in just a matter of breathing. That is the function of trachea. Next, you will have bronchi, or the singular form is bronchus. The bronchi branch from the trachea to each of the trachea into the lungs, create the network of intricate passages that supplies the lung with air. So these are your bronchi. Okay, bronchi, bronchi, bronchi. Okay, bronchi, bronchi. Now, smaller bronchi or smaller bronchioles are smaller bronchus are called bronchiole. Okay, so the plural is bronchioles. These are also called small bronchi. It further creates more networks so that when it enters the lungs, it will attach to the alveoli. Okay, the idea why the bigger tubes, the bronchi, are still separated into smaller tubes is because when you reach the lungs, you will have alveoli like this. It's very small. So when bigger tubes are connected to the smaller containers, it will have air leakages. That's why bronchioles are needed. These are smaller bronchi so that it will fit the alveoli storage. Okay? Now you have another part here, alveoli or the alveolus in singular. These are actually grape-like structures that contain and store clean oxygenated air ready to be transported to the blood via the pulmonary vein. What we're trying to say is there are air stored here. Not all the time, okay, air is pushed directly to the heart because there are some situations wherein air is limited and your bronchi is still supplying the heart with enough air. That means the alveoli is storing air for times of emergencies when air will not be present. That is why there are storages there. Our body is really wonderfully created by God because it has mechanisms like this. So who could have ever said that our body is a product of evolution? That is really stupid. Okay? Because the plans, the framework, the engineering and architectural manner how our respiratory system was created tells of a genius God. Next, you have the lungs. Okay, these are your lungs. Okay, this is actually shown through an X-ray, 3D X-ray. The lungs form one of the body's largest organs. They're responsible for providing oxygen to the capillaries and exhaling carbon dioxide. What we're trying to say here is they provide oxygen to the blood vessels so that it will be food for the cells. And when the dirt from the cells will be carried back to the lungs, it is also the lungs that is disposing this one or reconverting and cleaning this one so that it can be used again. Okay. Now the lungs has a muscle. Okay. It's called a diaphragm. The main respiratory muscle contracts and relaxes to allow air to enter into the lungs is called diaphragm. This muscle pushes CO2 out, okay, or carbon dioxide out, and vacuums, or shall we say, pushes in oxygen into the lungs. Now, you need a muscle to press the lungs so that air will come out, okay? And when the muscles are relaxed, air comes in. That is being made by your diaphragm. Okay. So I hope these parts of your respiratory system will be refreshed in your mind when you will become already medical practitioners someday. So again, the upper respiratory tract, and you will have your lower respiratory tract. Where can we see a more complete? Okay, this one. Trachea, bronchus, alveoli, bronchioles, and then you have your entire lungs. Okay? So let us continue. We will go now to the breathing process, and we simplify this one, or I simplify this one, so that you will understand how oxygen enters the body and the blood and why you are still alive. So here is the process. Air enters the nose. You call that inhalation. After that, air passes through the nasal cavity. Okay? And what is located in the nasal cavity? You have there the hairs and the mucous membrane, which removes the dirt, okay? And sifts the dirt so that it will not enter through the next level of breathing. Then air passes by the sinuses to obtain moisture or humidification. Remember, when air is in this process in the nasal cavity, it is very dry. So it passes the sinuses to humidify or to put liquid into the air so that when it will pass by the other systems, it will not be painful. Now, if I may just add, have you been into a hospital and you see someone with an oxygen? In the oxygen tank, you will see that at the upper side, there is a water bubbling. Okay? That is called a humidifier. Why? Because oxygen is dry. You need to liquefy it so that it will not be painful to the respiratory system. Now you understand. Okay? Then, air passes through the pharynx, especially the epiglottis. Okay? And during the time when it passes through the epiglottis closes the stomach so that air will go directly to the lungs. Okay? Then air passes through the larynx or by vibratory filtration, or there is filtration, there's vibration. And because of this vibration, sound comes out. So now you understand that the sound that is being excreted from your mouth is actually part of the cleaning of air. So the more we talk, the more that air is being cleaned in your body because of vibration. Unique. Then after that, air spirals to the trachea until it reaches down the bronchi with downforcing. It's pumped by the trachea. Okay, that's why we say the trachea has a rubber type of spindle movement. Then air passes through the bronchi, then to the smaller bronchi called the bronchioles. Okay, when it passes through the bronchi, it's not working. When it passes to the bronchioles, it synthesizes because it becomes smaller. And then air is stored to the alveoli, ready for usage of the heart and the lungs if the body will need it. You call this as storage. Okay. Then, okay, so it is already stored. What if the heart needs air already? What will happen? So air is then exposed to the capillaries. It will be brought up to the capillaries, and then air passes through the left side. Okay, when you cannot understand capillaries, these are actually blood vessels. So from the alveoli, it goes out of the alveoli through the capillaries. It enters the heart through the pulmonary veins, and then air enters the left atrium of the heart. Okay, now, then during the time, blood is already cleaned by the heart, and when it meets with the air in the left atrium of the heart, there is in the external part of the heart, there is already the putting of oxygenated air or clean air into the what? Hemoglobin. What we said earlier, yung sinabi nating salbabida. Okay. And then air through that hemoglobin, through the container, will be traveled and will be transported to the parts of the body that needs oxygen for food and for survival. That is the end of circulation. I hope you understand that one. That is the miracle of life, why we are still living until now. Okay. Okay. Oh, before I forget, there's another thing here. Okay. Air is then transported to the alveoli for storaging. Now, another process that is happening here is air is exposed to the capillaries, and then on the process that it is exposed to the capillaries, unused air and dirty air, okay, that goes with that process are taken out because it is not needed. And then that is the air that you expelled by the nose or you exhale. So not all air that enters your body are used by the body. Part of it that is not being usable or are dirty are exhaled back. Okay. And part of those you exhale back are actually the dirt from the inside, which was carried by the blood back to the lungs to be exhaled out. Okay. I add that one. Okay. I almost forget that there is another slide for that. Now, breathing and survival, the greatest challenge to man's life. Okay, let me first see some things here. Okay, we are about to end. Now, what are the survival realities of man when we talk about respiration and hematology? Man live without food for a number of days. Man live without water for a number of hours. But only live, oh, not this live, this is wrong spelling. Man can only live, L-I-V, for some minutes without air and he will die. Oxygenation means cell nutrition. That means if there is no oxygen, that means the cell will not be nourished and the cell will die. The heart and the lungs are two organs involved here, and these two organs means life. That's why we title this discussion as human survival, because the heart and the lungs are two of the main organs that promotes human survival. Now, let me share with you my viewpoint as a teacher. Okay? Additional lessons I want to share with you in this very special lesson about biological survival of humans. The study on gas exchange, let's say gas exchange, inhalation, exhalation, carbon dioxide out and oxygen in, that is gas exchange, is always a miracle until now, especially on the point where it needs to enter the blood circulation already. However, there is always nothing that is impossible with God, who is our creator, who designed the human body, including the survival instincts of human. In the right time, when the best science teacher in the world, who is our Lord, who is our God, will already be in our midst, let us ask him to have a deeper explanation on these subjects, because there are some areas in science, especially in human survival, that until now will just be considered a miracle. For now, God bless you, dear learners, and always remember, God is the real designer of science. Okay. I am very glad that I can be a tool, a humble teacher to guide you in this lesson. It is always my prayer that you will learn more when you will become medical students in the future. Again, let me remind you, this is Introduction to Biological Survival. And this is a subject in biology. Okay? Once again, we are done with our discussion. I hope you have enjoyed and you have seen the greatness of our living God in the way he designed our heart and our lungs to function. You cannot mistake this one for evolution, because evolution has no explanation why all of this was designed in a way that it is logical, organized, and above all, heavenly genius. So again, the biological survival of humans is a great lesson, and the engineer who constructed all of this system is no other than God. Have a great day, everyone, and I hope you can be with me again in the next few editions of Academia Gonzaga and AcaGon online discussions. It's about time. Let's end the discussion and have a great day, learners.